And so what they do is they just keep pointing the finger at each other, and then they're surprised if all of a sudden we are using our middle finger on them, right? But I mean, it's all bogus, because I think that we can do better than that. But the Democrats and the Republicans, both of the parties, have no interest in solving this problem because they use that to raise money. And I talk about Democrats and Republicans, even though I'm a Republican, I tell you, it is sometimes disappointing. And then I think even just when you look at the symbols of the party, think about that. I mean, the Democrats, donkey, Republicans.
It was supposed to be just another celebrity appearance on late-night television. Arnold Schwarzenegger, former California governor, movie star, and one-time host of The Apprentice, was invited to speak on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote a new environmental initiative and his latest documentary. But what happened during those 25 minutes sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and Washington.
I don't want all of a sudden tourism to suffer in Los Angeles because what they see on television, because the media sometimes shows it as if the whole Los Angeles is a big war zone, which is not really the case.
No, none of Los Angeles is a war zone.
But this wouldn't happen. I think that what you're referring to is, of course, the protests that are going on in LA.
Everything that's going on.
I totally agree with you, by the way, Jimmy, because they make it out to like it is a war zone, the whole Los Angeles.
What do you mean by
that? For decades, almost 4 decades, we have had a problem where they talked about immigration reform, comprehensive immigration reform.
Arnold didn't just speak his mind. He detonated a verbal nuke aimed squarely at Donald J. Trump. And for once, the former president had no idea it was coming. Arnold began the interview with his usual charisma, joking about his accent, recounting his latest workout routine, and poking fun at his past movie roles. But then, Jimmy Kimmel shifted the conversation. "You ever talk to Trump anymore?" he asked, half laughing. The audience chuckled, expecting a light jab. What they got instead was a public takedown so brutal, even the studio lights seemed to dim. Arnold took a breath and leaned forward. "You know, Jimmy," he said, "there was a time I admired Donald, a time when I thought he was just playing the TV villain, but then I saw the real him, and it disgusted me." The audience fell silent. "He's a coward," Arnold continued, voice steely. "He hides behind social media, attacks veterans, mocks the disabled, lies with every breath, and divides this country every chance he gets."
I mean, so the symbols say it all.
Yeah.
And I just get very frustrated because we send those politicians to Washington to solve the problems and all that. And a donkey's a jackass. And of course, wherever the big animal goes, lives a pile of dump, right?
And when I hosted The Apprentice after him, he didn't call to wish me luck. He tweeted insults. He couldn't handle someone else being in the spotlight. The crowd gasped. Kimmel tried to jump in, but Arnold wasn't finished. "I remember when he called me a total disaster because the ratings dipped, but he didn't mention the times he begged NBC to rehire him after they fired him. I've seen the emails. I've seen the desperation. The man who talks about winning all the time was begging behind the scenes like a child denied dessert." The internet exploded within seconds. Clips of the moment went viral before the show even ended. Twitter trends were instantly flooded. Arnold exposes Trump, begging emails, coward in chief. And when Trump saw it, predictably, he didn't take it well. Sources close to the former president said he was in a foul mood the entire next day, screaming at aides, demanding retribution, and threatening to bury Arnold like he did Rosie. According to insiders at Mar-a-Lago, Trump stormed around the golf course, muttering insults, and even snapped at guests who asked for selfies. "He thinks he can embarrass me," he reportedly shouted. "I made him. I saved his career." But privately, Trump was shaken. The mention of the emails, those begging emails, hit a nerve because they were real. Back in 2015, just before NBC dropped Trump over his comments about Mexicans, he had desperately tried to negotiate a return to The Apprentice. His political ambitions hadn't yet taken flight, and the loss of a TV platform was terrifying. He emailed NBC execs pitching spin-offs, even offering to cut his salary in half. But when the network chose to move forward with Schwarzenegger instead, Trump's rage exploded, and that grudge never faded. That's why, when Schwarzenegger took over The Apprentice, Trump launched a Twitter campaign against him. Arnold was a disaster, he tweeted. Pathetic ratings, bring back Trump. But what he didn't mention, what Arnold finally revealed on live TV, was that Trump had begged for that very seat just months earlier. After the Kimmel interview, journalists started digging. MSNBC ran a segment titled "The Emails Trump Doesn't Want You to See," featuring leaked correspondence that showed Trump pleading with NBC executives for one more season. "America isn't done with me," he wrote in one. "I've got a few more tricks up my sleeve." Another email added, "Let's give the audience what they want. Me back, bigger and better." The fallout was immediate. Late-night hosts jumped on the story. Stephen Colbert joked, "Turns out Trump wasn't fired. He was denied a second season of his reality show presidency." Seth Meyers said, "Imagine being so desperate to stay on TV, you email execs like a high schooler texting their ex at 2 a.m. But it wasn't just comedians piling on. Former NBC staffers came forward, confirming Arnold's account. One producer anonymously stated, "Trump's ego couldn't handle being replaced by anyone, let alone someone more successful and respected. He saw Arnold as a threat. He still does." As Trump's allies tried to dismiss the story, Arnold doubled down. In a follow-up appearance on MSNBC, he said, "Donald likes to act tough, but he's just a performer who never left the stage. The difference between us is, I left the spotlight to serve people." He went from reality TV to a reality nightmare. Arnold's words cut deep, not because they were flashy, but because they were true. Trump's need for validation, for cameras, for applause has long been documented, but few have ever exposed it as plainly and with as much inside knowledge as Schwarzenegger. This wasn't a political opponent. This wasn't a journalist. This was a fellow celebrity, someone Trump once saw as a friend and peer. That's what made it sting. In response, Trump fired off a barrage of Truth Social posts. "Arnold was the worst governor in the history of California," he wrote. "A total joke. Nobody cares what he says. Failing movies, failing brain." Another post read, "Schwarzenegger begged me to endorse him in 2003. I said no. He owes everything to me. Sad." But the damage was done. News outlets replayed Arnold's takedown on loop. Memes flooded Instagram. TikTokers reenacted the email drama with dramatic music. Even conservative-leaning outlets couldn't ignore the story, though they tried to downplay it. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Trump's advisors were scrambling. The timing couldn't have been worse. With ongoing investigations into his finances, renewed attention on the 2020 election lies, and rumors of campaign infighting, the last thing Trump needed was a feud with another high-profile Republican-turned-independent. And this wasn't the first time Arnold had challenged Trump. Back in 2017, after Trump criticized him at the National Prayer Breakfast, Arnold fired back in a video saying, "Why don't we switch jobs, Donald? You take over TV and I'll take over the presidency. Then people can finally sleep at night." That clip resurfaced again, reigniting the old beef, and this time people were listening with new ears. What made Arnold's attack different from others was that it wasn't about policy. It wasn't about indictments, lawsuits, or January 6th. It was about character, about ego, about the petty, insecure man behind the gold elevator. And that's what made it stick. Former aides say Trump spent the next few days obsessing. He called former Apprentice staffers, demanding loyalty. He reportedly ordered his team to dig up dirt on Arnold. "Find me something," he said. "Anything. I want him humiliated." But Arnold didn't flinch. In fact, he issued a short video message the following week, lifting weights in his home gym. "When I have a problem," he said, curling a dumbbell, "I don't go crying on the internet. I get stronger. Maybe Donald should try it." Brutal, concise, effective. As the story faded from the front pages, one thing remained: the image of Trump, rattled, pacing, humiliated, not by a political rival, but by an old colleague who dared to speak the truth on live TV. Trump has faced countless critics, but this one hit differently. Arnold wasn't just an actor or a politician. He was someone who had walked similar paths, someone who had tasted fame, power, and scrutiny. His words carried weight because they came from someone who knew the game and played it better. And while Trump may dismiss him as washed up, the world saw something else that night. A man unafraid to call out a bully, live and unfiltered. A man who once said, "Strength doesn't come from winning, it comes from struggles." And after his TV tirade, there was no doubt who came out stronger. like the video, and subscribe for more explosive moments like this. You won't want to miss the next time a public figure goes rogue and exposes what's hiding behind the curtain.